What's good, YouTube? It's KB with Just Do Boxing back with another video, man. Let's get right into it, man. I noticed we had a post-fight interview, the post-fight press conference from Canelo, and he was asked about a immediate rematch at 175, and he went on to explain that he's not really sure. He need time to think about it, him and his team to think about what they're gonna do. So, in my opinion, my honest opinion, it don't sound like he's too excited, about an immediate rematch. Seems like he's a little unsure. Rightfully so. He got beat convincingly. He probably won no more than 2 or 3 rounds at the most. I thought it was interesting to bring this up. You see the title of the video: rematch at 168 for Undisputed. The reason I said that, because Bivol was also asked in the Fight Hub interview, if he would be willing to go to 68. And, someone translated for him, and they spoke and said, of course he'd be willing to go to 68. And he said himself, he thinks he could make 68. He said 75 is not a problem. So, 68, he think he can make it, and he will have no problem going, for Undisputed. So my question to the Just Do family is, can we get a rematch between Canelo and Bivol at 168 for Undisputed, being that Canelo holds the titles, all the titles at 168? He's the newly crowned Undisputed 168-pound champion, and with him sounding uncertain about a rematch at 75, because people are making an excuse that the weight was too much for him. Never mind that he fought Kovalev at 175. We're not even going to get into that. But you got people saying that maybe the weight was too much. So my question is, okay, for the people, if the weight was too much, then how does a rematch sound between Bivol and Canelo at 168 for Undisputed, for all the belts? I think that would be entertaining for the people. I definitely think it'll sell. I know it would. I mean, it would give Canelo a chance to get his get back. I know he wants a rematch. He said he's not going to let it end on this note with him losing. So, like I said, with him sounding uncertain about getting back in the ring at 175 and him being the newly crowned Undisputed champion at 168, I don't see no reason why they can't potentially at least try to make that fight, especially being that Bivol said, he thinks he can make 168. He said, before COVID, definitely. But he said since then, he put on a little bit more weight, but he doesn't walk around that heavy. He said he probably weighed 183 to about 188, 180 to 183 in the ring against Canelo. So he just doesn't walk around that big. He's not that big of a guy. And like I say, he said he'd be willing to do it. And I thought it was interesting to talk about. Can we get a rematch at 168 for Undisputed between Bivol and Canelo? I think it'd be dope. It would give Canelo a chance, at his more natural weight, according to his fans, to get some get back. And if you want me to be honest, I just don't think it was the weight at 75. Like I said, he fought Kovalev there. He knocked him out. He didn't seem to have much of a problem then, and the weight wasn't an issue then. So I don't see why now all of a sudden the weight would be an issue. With people saying he bit off more than he can chew. I mean, he did that in terms of, I think, underestimating Dimitri Bivol. I mean, he's not going to come out and say that, but, it's pretty much obvious to me. I know him and his team seen a kid with 19 fights and experience, and they thought that undefeated champion, and they felt like they could come in there and take his belt, and create more history. And Bivol wasn't having none of that. And he beat, Canelo handily, maybe 9 rounds to 3, 10 rounds to 2 last night in a unanimous decision, even though the scorecards were way too close. That 115 to 113 is a joke. Even Canelo understands that he just didn't do enough to win, regardless of what he says, man. He's going to be real with himself. And at the end of the day, he knows he just didn't have the performance. He just didn't put forth the kind of performance that would beat Dimitri Bivol. And he got beat convincingly. So, again, I'm not going to make this video too long. I'm going to play a little video clip toward the end to let y'all hear, Canelo being asked the questions right out of his mouth. And then y'all could go and check, the Fight Hub interview that he gave Dimitri Bivol anyway. And you can check, at Dante's Boxing Nation. Shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation. Use his little clip, a little audio clip of Canelo just sounding uncertain about, immediate rematch at 75. And I think 168 to do him better. Maybe he'll feel more confident there. Like I said, Bivol said he think he can make the weight, and he definitely be willing to challenge for Undisputed. So who else is the champion for all the belts at 68 than Canelo? But again, in a rematch, I think even if it's at 68, I think Bivol beats him. I just think he has Canelo number. He's going to go in there with a psychological edge, and more confidence because he beat him already. And I don't see why he wouldn't be able to do it again. Like I said, Canelo, it's not like he's going to change so much. He fights the way he fights. He plies forward. He limits how much he uses his jab. He tries to cut the ring, throw hard hooks to the body and to the head. He just throw power shots. And that's exactly what Bivol said, and he gassed out because of it. You know what I mean? So in a rematch, I see Bivol beating him again, potentially, possibly stopping him if he go to his body more early and often. That's just my honest opinion. That's my thoughts on a potential fight, a potential rematch between Dimitri Bivol and Canelo Alvarez at 168 for Undisputed. Like I said, he said he think he could make the weight, and you know who's the undisputed champion at 168. I don't see why they can't do this, being that people were complaining about the weight for Canelo. It would give him a chance to get his get back, So I'm going to play the clip, with Canelo sounding very unsure about an immediate rematch at 175.
Hey, Canelo, I'm sure that getting ready to go. My question for you, Dylan, was even though you say you want to have the rematch with Dimitri Bivol in your next fight, two things about that. Do you think at any point you will reconsider that, maybe talk to Eddie about going through with the Triple G third fight anyway back to defend your titles at super middleweight? And also, do you think you would be back in September for that next fight, or would you want to maybe take a little bit of a longer break?
Yeah, we're gonna go to see what's next, talk about it, and let you know.
So no commitment then that you will definitely fight Bivol next.
Eso es lo que quiero, eso es lo que pasa por mi mente ahorita nada más, pero iremos a casa y veremos qué es lo que viene después.
Can you translate?
Yeah, so we'll this is what we want. We'll see what happens in the future, but we just have to wait and see what's going to happen.
Hi, Canelo.
Not. Yeah. Of course.
Do you think it's smart for Canelo to go into a rematch or stay
I
at
don't know.
175 pounds?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like a lot of people say that maybe 175 is too much for him.
Maybe.
Yeah. Do you want to go down to get the belts, or you want to stay and maybe face Joe Smith, Beterbiev to get all those belts?
Yeah, 168 for all of belts. Of course, it's good. Yeah, it's good. Why not? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I think that excuse with the weight just doesn't make sense because Dimitri exactly the same weight. He's not a big guy. He's not Zurdo Ramirez or those guys who weighs 200 pounds. Dimitri is 185, 188 walk around. So it just doesn't make sense. All the weight issues and stuff like that. Dimitri was accepting 168.
Yeah, I remember that.
He wanted that fight because he wants all the belts.
So you can make 168.
Yeah, I think yes, I could.
So I would imagine that
maybe I could. Yeah.
There y'all have it. So y'all heard from the horse's mouth, both Canelo and Bivol. Canelo sounding uncertain in that post-fight presser about an immediate rematch, saying he need time, rightfully so. But my initial feelings on it is he's not going to want that fight again at 175, and maybe he'd be a lot more comfortable at 68. Then y'all also heard the Fight Hub interview from Dimitri Bivol, where he said, yeah, he think he can make 168, and of course getting the titles there would be good for him. And so that's just something I think that was worth talking about, bring it to the Just Do family, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about a potential fight and rematch between Canelo and Dimitri Bivol at 68. And as always, y'all get in that comment section and let me know if I gave Dimitri Bivol and Canelo Alvarez their just due, because that's what I do over here at Just Do Boxing. Until the next one, I'm out. Peace.